Scott Talley coming to you live from the worldwide headquarters of Network in Action. Underdressed Scott Talley. We've got Mr. Demetri Chambers with us. Very glad you're here to join us.
Glad to be here, sir.
Counselor, attorney at law.
Yes.
Demetri has become a good friend of mine over the last couple of years and
Yes.
Been one of the many blessings in Network in Action. Demetri's a member up in the Woodlands. You're looking very sharp today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So tell us about your background. How old were you when you decided to become a lawyer?
I was actually 7 years old.
Wow.
And I was in school, and a bunch of kids got in trouble, and I talked the principal out of giving us a paddling. Yes.
That happened to me in high school. Believe it or not, almost the entire football team was accused of drinking.
Okay.
But I didn't drink in high school because my dad was a football coach and I was scared to death of it.
Okay.
So the way they all got off was by presenting me like, come on, Talley doesn't drink.
Okay.
And I should have been
there
a lawyer.
You go. That's when I decided to be a lawyer, when I got everybody out of trouble.
Wow,
yeah.
That's a great story. So you went to high school in Texas,
New Mexico. Actually, I'm actually born and raised Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Went to college there, got a business degree in 87, went right into law school and got my law degree in 90. Got my law degree in 90. Yes.
So, business is a great background for a lawyer, really. A lot of lawyers, I always say, my daughter's thinking about studying law, and I always tell them, get a marketing or a business degree first, because I find a lot of attorneys don't understand business.
That's why I went to business school.
Yeah.
I actually got a concentration in marketing.
That's awesome.
And then went into law school.
Smart path.
Yes.
And so you really understand, and have a resolve about business. The challenges are up there.
Yes, I do.
So you practice a number of different types of law, but primarily business law, real estate, and a little bit of family law, right?
A little bit of family. Mostly the things that business owners go through: real estate, corporate contracts, all types of contracts, from partnership agreements, franchise agreements, lease agreements. So all the types of things that business owners deal with.
Yeah. So tell us, what does a day in the life or a week in the life of Demetri look like right now?
Okay. I wake up and yes, a lot of things happen before I get to the office, but when things get to cooking at the office, it's basically I'm managing clients' affairs. Today I had a contract that I had to review and then advise the client on. I'm dealing with a very complicated piece of litigation now involving some partners who fell out, so I'm working on that. So it's managing clients' affairs and then dealing with the new things that come in. I basically have a book of business of clients who call me when there's a need, and I resolve it.
You regularly.
Yes, they call. Once you do good work for people, they'll call you back. Yes.
Yeah. And the world's full of litigation.
Yes. So what I try to do is keep my clients out of litigation. I've never had a client that has been happy with litigation.
Interesting.
You see on TV people bragging about lawsuits and this and that. I've never had a client who has been very happy with what happens in litigation.
That's interesting. Somebody's always sort of splitting the baby, right?
Well, business people know that they make their money doing whatever they do in the business, not dealing with lawyers and legal issues and going to court and those kind of things. And so I try to navigate around lawsuits as much as I can for my clients. Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about young entrepreneurs, got an idea, decides he needs to set up his business. What are some of the mistakes business owners make, not getting it set up correctly? And talk about some of the different entities, if you will.
Well, I think the first big mistakes that young entrepreneurs make is not reading everything that they sign and get into. You sign a lease agreement, maybe a 5-year lease, but there's a lot of hidden issues and hidden terms that you need to figure out and know. And having an attorney read and advise you about certain things can help you save a lot of headaches down the road. The other thing I noticed is that sometimes people get into partnerships too quickly. Everybody sees the upside and all the good money that they're going to make, but they haven't thought through things like, do we share visions? Do we have the same values? Do we feel the same way about the target market that we're going after? And so when things break down, they don't know how to resolve it. So one of the first things I look for in a partnership agreement is, what do we do when we disagree? Is there a dispute resolution clause? Is there a way that we can work things out? Do we have mediation to work it out? Have we identified a mediator that we can go to and we both mutually respect? And if there's not a clause like that, I try to get the parties to put something like that in it so that they can resolve their disputes.
It's great advice. You know, as an old guy who's been in business a long time, I laugh saying that, but it's true. I've seen so many times where, I mean, the odds are not in your favor, no matter how close you are, no matter how good friends are. And sure, you hear about these great success stories like Ben and Jerry's, but I'd be willing to bet, you know, what the divorce rate is, 60 or 65%. I bet you the business rate of failure with partnerships
is 75%.
Is it 75%?
That's what it is.
75% of the time. Yes. You know, I was signed a contract with some guys one time, and they went in on a partnership on a franchise, and they weren't in it 3 days. 3 days. Yes. And they realized that partner A was going to do all of the work, the sweat equity, and partner B had put up a little bit of money, and after about 3 days of hitting the concrete, partner A was already pissed off.
There you go. And that's what happens a lot of time when you don't define your roles. Yeah. And one partner thinks that I'm certainly going to do my part. Yeah. The other partner may be thinking, that's right, but I'm only going to go so far. Yeah. The other thing is risk profiles. Sometimes you have partners who are married. One partner's wife may not want him to take as much risk and either or be away as much. The other partner is saying, we'll work all night if we have to make this work. Yeah. And then there's problems at home.
Yeah, great advice. So what about setting up the entity? There's different options. There's S-Corps, there's LLCs. Do you advise people on that, and what would be some of the basic information you give us?
Generally speaking, an LLC is a great entity. It's got some tax advantages. You're always doing this to limit your liability. I try to really understand the nature of the business because how you structure it has a lot to do with knowing what your risk profile is. I ask clients to also add good insurance to go with it. Mm-hmm. So if a business is going to be operating for any long-standing periods of time, it's always nice to have an LLC so that you can limit your liability. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that provides, as I understand it, a layer of protection against your personal assets, your home, and things that you might own. So I understand a lot of doctors and lawyers and stuff
do. Yeah. And then I tell people you also have to operate it like an LLC and don't operate it as a sole proprietorship where you're mixing your money, your personal money with your business money, and before you know it, it's not clear who owns what. Mm-hmm. There's a concept called piercing the corporate veil when it looks like the owner and the business are all one and the same, and the owner's money is in the same bank account as the business money, then someone who's trying to target you will sue both you and the business because they can claim that you're one and the same. Yeah.
That's very good advice if you're a relatively younger entrepreneur. Some even experienced entrepreneurs don't know that. The other thing is, we always want to pay as little taxes as possible. So we're buying votes and pulling money out of the company, and all you really do there is
you get
in trouble. Not only do you devalue the amount that your company's worth, it's hard to argue both sides.
That's right.
Taking a couple $100,000 out to satisfy your personal needs, and then you want to get that money back on the selling because it doesn't work very well. Let's move over to real estate a little bit. Boy, you talk about an area where there can be some problems. What kind of things have you seen, or do you have a favorite story about somebody that didn't get to you soon enough?
Back in the early 90s, you might remember there was a lot of real estate investors, a lot of people jumping into business deals. What I encourage people to do when you're dealing with real estate is really understand your contracts, because a lot of times people will sign them too quickly. And there are clauses, and sometimes weird clauses, that you got to work around if things go wrong. I had a person call me the other day, this is just this past week, signing a real estate contract too quickly. The husband was ready to sell, the wife was ready to sell, the husband was not ready to sell, and lo and behold, they signed a real estate contract and they're in it now. The main thing with real estate is always be careful about what you sign and make sure you read every clause and every term. Make sure that you understand everything. And I tell people, when it comes to contracts in general, make sure you really understand every term and every clause and don't be in a rush to sign. Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is really doubly important with commercial real estate, right?
Yes.
Because commercial real estate is so different. You know, residential real estate, you're pretty much going to get a promulgated form, and it's going to be pretty basic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Commercial real estate is a whole different ballgame.
Well, because you're talking usually about a lot more dollars and more people involved, banks, title companies, and partnerships, and lots of issues going on. Sometimes there's a construction piece of that because there's a build out or something like that. So it's a lot more complicated, yes.
I've dealt with this personally, Demetri. I'm embarrassed to say, but I bought a piece of land one time and I didn't look at the right-of-ways, and there was a guy that had land behind me in Texas that he needed to have access to. One day I see this guy trekking back on my land. I'm like, what the heck's he doing? And a friend of mine said, you need to look at your contract. Right. You probably got something in there. And he had the right to come through that land anytime he wanted with any size truck he wanted.
That's right.
And I had to keep that gate open.
That's right.
Give him a key.
Yes. Those are the kinds of things that people miss when they read these things.
Yeah. Yes. And so do a little bit of family law?
Just a little. The only reason I do family law, I started doing family law probably early 93 maybe have been my first case, is because you need some good family lawyers there. And there's plenty of them out there, but it's an area that is easy to take advantage of people because they're so emotional when they're hiring you. I do family law the same way I do business law. I don't care how mad the client is, and I don't care how bad the circumstances are. We have to come up with a strategy and a plan based upon realistic goals. Mm-hmm. And if the plan is to hurt him or beat her up, I'm not the right lawyer for you. But
that's awesome.
But if the plan is, let's get you through this very difficult process as quickly as we can, because at the end of the day, there may be children involved, and you will still be dad. That's right. You will still be mom, that's right. And I'll be off to something else. So at the end of the day, my goal is to land you where you can continue to be a good father. And if that's not the goal, if you don't want to do it that way, I'm not the lawyer for you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's when those cases come up, I try to help. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome, because even in a perfect divorce, it's imperfect, right?
Oh, yes,
especially with the kids. And
it is very complicated.
The trail of dust that's left behind. So I'm curious, we talk oftentimes about how the internet has changed business. How's it changed the legal profession?
I have noticed that most people who hire me, they've Googled me first. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. People will come into my office and they'll tell me, I know you're a family man, because they saw something about me on Facebook. I am a very serious family man. I don't know if I've had any clients lately who haven't looked on the internet before they called me or come by, even when they have been referred by another person. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So it is playing a significant role. Yes. Yeah.
What about in terms of like your research on a case?
Oh my!
It's changed that as well, huh?
I'll tell you, Scott.
You don't have a big law library anymore?
In fact, that's where I think me and my partner got the most leverage. We came together at a time where most of your law firms still had the huge law libraries. And right about the time we came together, around 96, the legal research banks were basically using diskettes, back the big old CD-ROMs, where they would send you one, and then when the laws changed, maybe a few months later, or new cases come out, they would send a whole new set. And then the internet came, and it leveled the playing field. I can get up to speed on an area of law as fast as any other lawyer now.
Yeah.
So we love it. We've got tools that we've used for 20 years, and they're always updating them. So we just go right to the tools.
Yeah. I would imagine you spend less time researching with the sophisticated search. You can find things easier and get up to speed.
A lot less time and less headaches, because you can save it, and I can pull out my cell phone and go back to my research and pick up where I left off.
That's wild.
I can go to court now and just pull my phone out and read to the judge what a case says. Yes.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. What a dramatic difference. So I know a few things. If you're a business owner and you need some consultation, I know that this big-hearted man is always ready to help you. I mean that because last week I had a chance just to invite Demetri to help me out. And within about 10 seconds, he said yes. And a few minutes later, he had shown up. So that's what's consistent about you, I've noticed over the last couple of years. So love that.
Yes.
You've done a little bit of networking in your life. Talk to me about how that's worked for you with networking action out in the Woodlands.
Well, I'll tell you, Scott, I think networking saved my business. I came here in 2009. My wife was suffering from a major medical crisis. I took care of her from 2009 to around 2012, where I basically couldn't network. I basically had to take care of her. Mm-hmm. She got better around 2012. She's back to work now and doing much better.
Awesome.
Yes. But around 2013, I started networking, just going to some networking events, planting seeds, and that got my business back going. And so I believe in networking, not just for the referrals, but you learn so much. I have learned a lot about so many different types of businesses and really come to understand what business owners are dealing with and what they're struggling with. And it's made me a better lawyer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And the experience with Stacy in the Woodlands?
Oh, my. Stacy was just a great person all around. Yes. And I'm just always impressed and amazed with Stacy. There has been a few networking meetings where there may have been 100 people there. And Stacy can stand in a crowd and just name people's names. Just, John, sit down. David, you're talking too loud over there. And she just knows people. And that's what networking is all about.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be the deal. Well, how does the audience reach you, by phone or email, if they've got a question or need to reach you?
They can call me. My cell phone number, I answer my cell phone number, 972-839-6125.
Awesome. And by email?
dc@walkerchambers.com.
dc@walkerchambers.com. We're really grateful you came in today.
Glad to be here.
Great to see you.
All right.
Thank you, Demetri.
Take care.